Could be that he is just walking on and just like blocked out the everything else and just like continued walking.
So I want to talk about that final moment in the film where, it feels like, at least to me, it felt like, Peter's certainly dead after having shot the general, seeing as he's suspiciously walking off in the rain and there's no one around anymore. What are your thoughts on that final moment? And then, was that implication the intent, and kind of what you generally wanted audiences to take from that?
We wanted audiences to interpret it any way they wanted to, and it could be that he is just walking on and just like blocked out the everything else and just like continued walking. There actually was a different version of it with a specter in the horizon, sort of like written in the book. But that seemed to confuse the audience a bit of why there would be a ghost there that he was walking towards. And so we just took that out.
Oh, I mean, it's always interesting to know kind of the alternates of like what was brainstormed, what was almost in the film.
Well, the other alternate was the general not being shot and him just walking off, which when we tested both versions, this one tested higher.
Well, and I think someone else was saying, and I haven't actually read the book, but yeah, some of the big changes in this movie were made in the very end. Is that correct?
Pretty much that was the biggest change was the ending of like and who won. So
So then I guess my question would be, why those changes?
that's something that JT and Francis felt like would be the most cinematic version of it, and also to give the audience something different than what they might have expected.
No, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. I was talking to Garrett about the film, and he revealed that whenever anyone died, they had like a happy death day celebration. I'm curious to know more about that tradition that was established on set.
Well, yeah, I mean, because like all of the actors were all friends hanging out, and so they knew each day whenever the that character was going to perish that they would leave, and so they would have a just like knowing that they would have to do something for the actor before they left, and just to have a little fun thing to do for each one of them.
It did feel like everyone on that movie, like that I've talked to, like that there's such a massive camaraderie that was just formed between, all the actors experiencing this. Did you get to experience some of that too, even though you weren't necessarily on the front lines, as it were, in the walk with everyone?
I mean, I got to see all of them, and you could tell that by the end of the movie, like they were definitely going to be lifelong friends made from this movie.
I wanted to talk about the very end of the movie. Can you talk about, that last moment, with Peter? He, shoots the general, and it really does seem like he is now dead. Like, can you confirm if that is the kind of intention there, is to kind of leave that as the very the very obvious possibility of how that unfolded, and then how you work to make that on screen?
Is that what you think, Russ?
I do. That is what I think. After thinking about it, I do think that he died. I do think that he died.
I think I would never, even if I was the type of person to answer a question like that, I would never answer it as the writer. You'd have to talk to the director. But I think it's just so damaging for the audiences to ever like inflict my feelings about something like that on them. So I know it sounds like a cop out, but I just don't like to answer those kind of questions.
Well, then I generally then just when it comes to realizing that moment and kind of dealing with, okay, this is how audiences might interpret it. How
Yeah.
did you work to translate such a pivotal moment to the screen and to have it work out exactly how it did?
I think, it was really important to Francis to keep the DNA of the ending of the book.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of ambiguity and mystery in the final page of the book. And so, even though we wanted to kind of deviate and narratively surprise a bit, even the constant readers, we wanted to surprise them a little bit with some of the narrative choices in that last 10 minutes. Francis said, he's like, we got to get back, even if we do something different, we've got to come back around to the ending of the book. And so, I think that last moment
in the movie is a definite homage and tribute to the last pages.
I just want to talk about your tragic death scene. We all knew it was probably going to happen at some point. Can you talk about filming that moment and what it was like to finally reach the end of your character's journey through this walk?
Because we shot chronologically, that moment is rooted in such truth and such true emotion because not only is it at the end of Stebbins' walk, it is the end of Garrett's walk. And when we would all reach our death day, they would bring us a button and that said, happy death day. We would get balloons in our trailer because it was not only a celebration of, the character, but also celebration of all the hard work that each of these actors put in. And they were quite emotional days. And, when I pat Garrity on the back, I say it's been an honor. That was improv. That's true. It was an honor to walk alongside these boys. I have chills right now just thinking about it. And that emotion that you see in that moment was all true. And the moment that I knew that was the last take and they called cut for the final time, I just burst into tears because like that walk for me was completed. 261 miles had been completed and walked in the Stebbins' boots and alongside such talented, kind, hardworking people. And the fact that people are responding so positively to this movie is so affirming and so beautiful because we all gave something of ourselves to this walk. And the fact that people can now see that and engage with it, and the fact that people love it has been so moving. We woke up to 100% on Rotten Tomatoes today.
As the concept promises, basically all of these characters die. So when it came to Hank's time, at the end of his walk, what was it like filming that moment?
I kind of blacked out, man. Like I just did it. Like it's what you see in the film is what I did, and I kind of went that day. It was like at three or four in the morning, because it was at night. So we're
Yeah.
shooting all night, and we shot like a bunch of other stuff before that. So this is like before the sun rose. I was just, I was tired, So I was just like, I just did what you saw, and I didn't tell anybody that was what I was gonna do. I just kind of did it. And Francis was like, "Great, just do it again, more blood." And I was like, "Awesome!" And we just did it a couple times, and that's it.
What was going through Hank's mind in those final moments?
I mean, or I think his mind had left him hours ago, if not, days ago. He's running. He's sort of an empty husk. And if anything, there's one tiny moment at the end when he rallies, when he gets a little bit of cognizance back into his brain, and it's all regret.
Garrett was mentioning that everyone got to have basically a happy death day type celebration
Oh
when it
yeah,
was when it was your time. Well,
yeah.
what was that like for you? What was your little celebration?
I got a little pin.
That's great.
The 80s made a little pin for me, a little ribbon that said happy birthday. I think the sound team said they all made t-shirts because they loved my line like raring to rip. They loved that line so much that like the sound team t-shirts was like a silhouette of me and it said "Raring to
Nice.
rip" on it. Um Death Day was, I mean, I was so like I told you, it was 4 in the morning. I was so tired. I was like, I'm dead. Great. I'll see you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
in a year. Um I don't have a I don't exactly remember what happened after I shot me dying. I think I
yeah.
probably fell asleep in the van ride home.
I
Um
mean, I think that's fair after the experience you had. You know,
yeah.
looking at Hank's whole journey throughout the movie, starting the walk, finishing the walk, what would you say is kind of how did he truly evolve as a character within the span of that walk? What was his big point of change?
His big point of change is that he went from someone who thought he could win to someone who questioned like every decision that he's ever made in his life.
Yeah,
Someone who his consciousness basically evaporates out of his soul. It's a whole life's journey, basically.
yeah. It's true. I mean, you're not wrong.
It's funny that I read this. I can't credit myself with this thought, but I read this and I really liked it. As someone said that the long walk is kind of a microcosm for life.
Hmm.
Um, because you start and you can't stop. You make some friends along the way, you might make some enemies along the way, and at the end you die, and you die in no particular order, one at a time. So for a lot of these characters, it's like their journey through the walk is like a journey through. sort of a tragic life. So
Yeah.
that's what it is for Hank too. You know, he came in with a lot of energy, right? He obviously a lot of chutzpah, but that I give him a lot of credit for pushing as far as he does, actually.
Yeah, no, he's a commendable dude.
I think my idea physically for the character is like, let me push him to the what you would think is the limit for a human being, and then let me push another 100 miles past that. And so that's how I approached it, you know, from a physical act.